Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another CAF update. Tonight it's the 21st CAF update. That's pretty good. We're on our way to having these been going on for about a half a year, so that's pretty cool. I am flying solo this evening. Again, it's actually my fault. I finally am caught up with all the emails and different things I had to do after Comic Art Live set me back. And one of the biggest stuff I had to get done was actually reschedule lots of people who I had emailed earlier as far as getting them onto our chats, whether it's the Comic Art Live chats from Tuesdays or it's the chats that we do here with after the CAF updates are done. So I've got a full slate of people to talk with after tonight. Next week we've got Micah Spivak, and that's on Monday evening, and then I'll be speaking with Vincent Zerzolo on Thursday. The week after that, we've got Michael Lovitz on Tuesday with the Comic Art Live guys, and also on the 17th, we've got Travis Elsor and Jonathan McCoy. And then Jim Warden and Kenneth Carter in the last week of the month. I haven't really booked anything for the week of Christmas yet. And if I do, I think I would probably only put them on the 22nd and 23rd and steer clear, of course, of Christmas Eve and whatnot. So we'll see. I haven't booked anything for those yet, but they may end up getting taken, for something. I'll certainly do some kind of a CAF update for everybody. So just wanted to give you the heads up on that. Hey, Larry, nice to have you with me this evening, as always. And truth be told, I am not flying totally solo. The cat, Coco, is hanging out. Hopefully she won't bother me while I'm going through my updates and everything. And I turned the Wolverine on. I haven't had that thing on in like 10 years. I thought, maybe I'll see if it actually works, and thankfully it still does. So that worked out rather well. The big news for me this week was I'd mentioned it when we did the chat with Ankur on Tuesday that I might be buying a server to replace our database server, and I finally did that yesterday. So that was a big investment in CAF and in the dealer network that we host, because it really goes all towards that. It's about an $8,000 purchase, but it's going to be well worth it. The SQL server that we use currently is 5 years old. It's got 32 gig of RAM. It's running on old style drives. So we're going to a solid state drive system, 62 gig of RAM, great new processors and all that. So it's definitely something that's going to last me more than 5 years probably. So I'm really excited about that. The rollout's probably going to take a whole month to put it into production and move all the databases over to it. But it's all technical and boring, and I've got a SQL expert who's going to help me do that. I'm not going to bog Maureen down with working on migrating databases and stuff. So that's going to be exciting, definitely exciting. Because as you probably know, we did buy a new web server last year, so that was a big investment too for CAF and for the dealer network. Hey, Tatiana, nice to see you this evening. And so that really is the biggest thing. And I think the server gets in around the 14th, so we'll get that, and then it'll take me about a week to get it set up and put in over at our co-location facility in Cleveland. And then probably 2 to 3 weeks after that, I'll start migrating databases, and it'll be good for everybody. All the dealer sites will scream and CAF will be much more fast than it already is today, and I won't have to worry about a 5-year-old server crashing one night too. So that's a blessing in and of itself. I do want everybody to know that as far as Comic Art Live goes in the next show, I'm definitely leaning towards the June 5th and 6th date, unless somebody tells me I'm stupid for wanting to pick the first weekend in the summer. Probably the first weekend after school's out for kids. I've talked with Colin, who works for Convention Scene, and he and I kind of looked at the weekends available, and we both felt that was going to be our best choice to have the next show. So, again, if anybody thinks I'm nuts, let me know, but that's what we're leaning towards. Hopefully I'll be able to make that commitment next week. I'm talking with a lot of different people to help me with the next show, as far as people to run the panels for me, so I'm not pulling all the levers in the behind the scenes and whatnot. And so I really need to nail it down so I can get them on the schedule with me so that we can start working on the show. As far as just industry kind of notes, obviously there's the big auction next weekend, or next week on Tuesday is Comic Links auction. That's why we don't have our Comic Art Live chat that evening and moved it to Monday. I know all the guys are actually they've got art that they're bidding on and whatnot, so they did not want to be tied down trying to do an interview and bid on auctions at the same time. And then the following week after that, on Monday, is Comic Connect's auction closes, and that's on Monday, December 14th. And they've got, I like their auctions. They're always, kind of diverse, but they've got a really great selection of stuff this time around. And I know a lot of times the pieces on their auctions have reserves, but I think this time around we're going to see a lot of those things get hit and a lot of the pieces sell. So I'm excited to kind of watch how that one shakes out. Beyond that, I think that's probably everything. I mean, I've got a lot of emails out there to some people that I wanted to talk to as far as doing some different types of formatted chats in 2021. I can tell you that I want to lean more towards, I mean, we're going to do all the same interviews and that sort of thing, but as far as trying to add in a few additional programming ideas and concepts for the chats that we do, I wanted to focus on creators. I'd love to go to the Sal Buscema group, for instance, on Facebook and try to get 3 or 4 people, and we could probably like pick different time periods of Sal's work and spend an hour and a half talking about Sal's contributions during those time periods. And I did line up a conversation with a gentleman who wrote a book on George Harriman, Crazy Cat artist, and bringing in a few people for that as well, Rob Stolzer and Glenn Gold, and that's going to be early in 2021. So I'm looking at doing more things that are going to be educational for the hobby. And also, I was talking with Ruben the other night, and he suggested, trying to get in younger collectors into these shows too. So we're going to try to work on people who maybe are only 6 months or a year into the hobby, and just kind of get their opinion on, the way they see it. Because for many of us, like Tatiana and Larry, and we've been in this thing for 20 years plus, and we have our view of what the hobby is. I'd really like to see how younger people, or just people who are newer to the hobby, see it and view what the challenges to them are, because I think it might be totally different than the way we look at it. And Ruben and I also talked about trying to do a few introductions to the hobby type of chats that might be more like long-term informative. So again, just trying to kind of mix it up and do some different things in 2021. Anthony and I have talked about doing a claim sale format. As far as the show goes, it would probably be something that we might do only every like twice a month, maybe. We haven't really nailed down a schedule for it yet, but Anthony's always game to get on camera and talk about selling art. And so I kind of felt like if we could mix things up and do something fun, it might be something that we could do with other dealers as well. And just something different, and not just always talking about how somebody got in the hobby, but trying to promote sales for different people too. So that should be a lot of fun. Let's see, what did Larry said? Great ideas. Remember, I'm in the admin of the Don Newton and Don Heck groups. Exactly. That's what I want to hear. Anybody who's a moderator or an admin in those groups that are out there. There's an Irv Novik group. I mean, there's more than one John Buscema group, Frank Frazetta, those sorts of things. So I'm going to be putting feelers out to all of those groups and trying to get something on the schedule, even if it was just like a once a month thing where we were picking out a different creator to talk about and bring people in from those groups. I think it'll be a lot of fun, very informative, and just a different, you guys are talking about these creators every day on Facebook, and it's, just kind of, it's nice, it's great. And I think if we put it online, and it'll be a really good asset to the hobby to kind of do these things in that format. So, I think that was like the only other bit of news I had as far as this laundry list of things that I'm working on right now. I did find out that oh, that's true. I did want to mention this. People who are using Safari, I found out today that Safari made a recent update, probably over the weekend, to whatever number it is, like 14.1, something like that, or maybe it was 41.1. I'm dyslexic at times. But the problem with it is when you click on a browse for, like if you want to add a piece of artwork onto CAF and you're clicking that browse button to find the image, well, they've broken it. Like they don't allow, whatever they've done, they broke the ability for Safari to actually browse the hard drive to find anything. It doesn't matter what it is. So if you were in Gmail and you wanted to attach a file to an email, you just can't do it. It's not going to work. So I haven't seen any resolution from Mac at this time as far as fixing that problem. And the only thing that I saw people coming up with as a solution to fix it was to downgrade their browser, which I can't even give you any advice on how to do that. It's probably somewhat easy, but you might have to like roll back the update that you put on your Mac. And I have a Mac too, but I don't have a problem with it, but clearly I haven't patched it to whatever recent upgrade they had. And believe it or not, I even had somebody with Firefox tell me that they had a similar problem about a week ago. So at first I thought the users today that had emailed me were all Firefox users, but no, this was Safari. So something totally different. I can't imagine what it is. Firefox is very protective of people, so I figured it had to have been a security issue on the browse file. But definitely with Safari, it's Safari's problem. So use a different browser in the interim, and hopefully they resolve it or roll back your browser to fix that, or you won't be adding art to CAF until that's fixed. So so why don't we just jump into some of the stats like we always do. Of course, this is for the period of November 23rd to 29th, so it covers the Thanksgiving holiday week. And to be honest, it was a rather slow week for both dealers and auction houses. The total was just under $450,000 in sales, which is, I mean, that's at least 150, 200,000 off of what we might consider averages. So comic art dealers that did do well were Albert Moy. He sold $54,000 in artwork last week. It was Romita Man coming right behind him at just under 51,000. Panel Page Art had 28, and Anthony had just under 19,000. So as far as overall sales for them combined, oh, and I should even say, like, Felix had 0, which never happens, right? So I even emailed him saying, did my stuff fail? And he said, no, took the whole week off, didn't mark anything for sale or anything sold. And I also, I will throw one thing out there for any of the dealers that are listening, is that I do get asked a lot, like, hey, sometimes my sales don't show up in your reports. And of course, I'm talking about the dealers that I host, because those are the only ones that we do reporting on. And the reason that'll happen, a lot of times dealers, they use our administration for adding artwork sold that they want to sell and record and track in their system, but they don't ever mark it live. They'll put it into the system as sold. And the thing is, I don't track a sale unless it's been made public. So because once a dealer in my network adds a piece of art for sale and it's active, it gets put into the dealer inventory on CAF. And when the dealer then marks it as sold, and I remove that piece of artwork from the dealer inventory on CAF, that's when I record the sale into my market data. So there were a lot of instances early on, say, especially, I'll use Felix again as a good example. He was selling complete issues, but he was just adding them to his database and marking them as sold, and they weren't showing up in our reports. So I told him, I'm like, literally, all you have to do is just add it as being for sale and active for 1 second, and then go back and edit it and mark it as sold, and it'll be in my inventory. So that's kind of what he's done. But I had another dealer ask me about it today, saying, hey, I would have crushed those guys last week if it wasn't, and I don't know why none of my sales showed up. And I'm like, well, did you add everything sold? And he said, yeah. Well, that's it. So it just goes to show you that the data that we do have is sometimes fallible because, of how we are tracking it. But I always felt that, so even, I control their sites. I could certainly just go in and just say, I want to take everything that's sold out, out of their inventory every week and report on that. But that wouldn't be fair, especially if, a dealer is trying to, is doing something that they didn't want to have be public. So I only report on public sales. So just kind of take that for what it is when we talk about the numbers here. So let me pull up the top 6 sales from last week. Now the overall sales was 168,000, and as you remember, with all the auctions, with all the sales last week, that's like $100,000 less than last week. And this first piece, the highest selling price item, was for Superboy 51 cover by Frank Miller, sold for $16,600 by Panel Page. This is Punisher magazine number 14 cover by Jim Lee. It sold for $15,000, and it was sold by Albert Moy, of course. This is another Albert Moy sale. It's Winter Edge issue number 1 page. It's a cover, and it's a wraparound cover. That's by Brian Bolland. It sold for $11,000. Next up is a Joe Kubert Our Army at War number 211 cover. And this was sold by Mike Berkey, Romita Man, original art, of course, for $7,250. It's one of 2 in this report. This next piece was, again, sold by Romita Man. It's by Art Adams and Art T-Bear. It was fantastic for $349 title page splash from 1990. It sold for $7,000. And finally, this is another Joe Kubert cover, sold for $7,000. It's Weird War Tales number 7 from 1972. Not sure why Mike has the corner covered on Joe Kubert war covers, but when I was doing my market data research, it seemed like over the last 5 years, there were a dozen Kubert war covers sold, and they were all sold by him. So I don't know, he's just kind of a magnet probably for trades and that sort of thing. And whoever has a lot of these Kubert covers is using him as a conduit, or maybe these are consignments. I don't know. Did not ask him. Now, auction houses, of course, had the same kind of pullback from the week before. The week before with auction houses, we had all those really large. We had the signature auction from Heritage. We had the Daniel Megan auction, where that week alone there were over 8 million in comic art sales. So this week it was back down to a little less than normal at $281,000 in total sales, and as you can see here, eBay was really light, and they always are really light on a holiday weekend. If it's Thanksgiving, if it's Christmas, there's always not going to be too many things being sold there. So this is the John Byrne FF 276 page, and it sold for $3,656. Next up is this Kiss Me Carol Detective Noir, original art by Tim Sale, of course, and it sold for $1,561. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. And then a classic Marvel Star Wars page from issue 20, page 23, Carmen Infantino, sold for $1,358. And then I have 3 Heritage results as well. Here's the Kirby Wood Skymasters that I did not win. One day I will own one. This one sold for $5,760. This is Irv Novik, of course. It's a Batman splash, page 3. I don't have the issue number down, unfortunately. I apologize for that. It sold for $5,040. This was, I actually had never heard of the strip before, Count Screwloose. It's a Sunday by Milt Gross, another artist who I don't know. So it was from 1931. It sold for $4,560. But I like that piece, and like I said, we're going to be talking about Harriman, so it's kind of in that same period. I can see a little Harriman influence in the artwork there, so that was kind of neat. Now, even though we had the holiday last week, we did actually have a lot of people posting. It was a very busy week, and I believe we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 pieces of art added. It's always good when there's a holiday because people have more time to post artwork on CAF. So it's always an interesting time to see the artwork posted. And since I was going solo tonight, I decided to pick a few extra pieces than I normally would. I usually do like 14 or 15, so I did almost, I think, 20 pieces in this particular update because there were a lot of really choice pieces. And here, I'll just get this thing rolling for you. First up is this piece by Mobius, Jean Girard. This is from Ink Hall, and it's, of course, The Fifth Essence, Part 1, page 15. Beautiful piece. Anything from Ink Hall is super expensive, but well worth it if you can own one. This is a collection of Paul P. This is a Amazing Spider-Man 239 page, first Spider-Man Hobgoblin battle, John Romita Jr., Frank Giacoya. This is merchandise art for Cankor. Now, I don't know much about it. The artist is Matthew Allison. I really like the art. I've seen Matthew's work before, and I really like this piece, and it got a lot of comments and views. Next up is a piece that's owned by Jason K. The Mobius was owned by Jason as well, by the way. This is a Johnny Comet Sunday from 1952 by Frank Frazetta. So Jason was definitely on a roll last week. This is, of course, Amazing Spider-Man 62, page 1 splash. And it's by Romita Sr. and Don Heck and Mike Esposito as Mickey Demio in this one as he was moonlighting working for DC. It's from the collection of Mike Berkey. This is artwork by Dave Stevens, of course. It's an Alien Worlds #2 cover in the collection of Brian Ketterer. Next up is something I don't think we've ever featured before, a piece of trading card art, believe it or not. And so this is a small piece, but I liked it a lot. Collection of George H. Wolverine. It's from 2011 by Jimmy Chung. Next up is a John Buscema DPS from Silver Surfer 110. This is inked by Joff Isherwood in the collection of Veil DG. I always find it interesting when ink pieces have like 2 tones. You know that they use 2 different kinds of inks in these things. This is a Bernie Wrightson Batman sketch, and it's hard to call it a sketch. It's beautiful, but that's what Tariq Arshad called it in his gallery. Next up is another piece from the collection of Brian Ketterer. This is by Todd McFarlane. It's from SpiderMan number 11. Nice splash. I didn't get the inker on this one, so I'll have to make a note of that and update the description so we have that. This is Matt E. Again, he had a couple of these in last week's. This is by Greg Capullo. This is Batman number 4. And of course, this is Bruce Timm. It's a zombie killer, and it's in the collection of Jason. This is in my friend Dan Poddak's collection. It's by Dick Ayers and Paul Reinman. It's a splash pinup in the back of Tales to Astonish number 59. And this is an Uncle Scrooge half page from 1952 by the great Karl Barks. This is in the collection of Monty B. Monty's got a really great collection. And as you know, we always put the link to these reports in our YouTube page, so you should check these out when it's all over. This is, of course, something from Craven's Last Hunt by Zeck and McLeod, collection of Canada Jones. This is from Spider-Man 131. And this is Joe Quesada and Tim Townsend in the collection of Paul P. It's an Iron Man number 30 cover. This is from 2000. Now, this was an artist I wasn't really familiar with, Mike Mayhack. This is in the collection of Alex Johnson. This was a piece that Mike had done as part of an Inktober type of thing, and Alex picked it up. And I apologize for the bad scan on this. It wasn't really a good one, but I love this cover. This is from Detective Comics number 443 from 74. Aparo and Tatiana Wood in the collection of Chris K. And our last piece of the evening is Astonishing Tales number 6, page 5, collection of Mark Levy, Barry Windsor Smith, and the great Bill Everett. So there we have it. Sorry, I missed a couple things in there. Tatiana said, thanks for the notes on the sales not shown. Yes, exactly. So you get it. I want to always keep things private when they're private. They should never be brought up and mentioned. You know, I mean, there's lots of ways to look at it. Somebody could do it, but definitely with the way we run the sites, it can never, you know, get us into any trouble by the way we've been doing it. And yeah, Larry had pointed out the Sky Masters to me as well when it was still at auction. I put a bid on it, but there was no chance. That's definitely a little bit more than I was going to be able to pay for it. So really, that's about it. I do apologize that I didn't have the gumption to get another collector in this evening. I floated a few emails, and I almost could have had Rich Cirillo tonight, but you know, I ended up telling him, you know, he finished up with working with Neil Adams this evening or earlier today on the auctions and stuff that Neil does that are live. But I'd kind of resigned myself to making it an early evening tonight so we can prepare best for these for the next several weeks where I've got a huge lineup on these things. And I will tell you one thing, and this has been great, is I'm giving Colin some more time. Everybody who's been around CAF long enough knows that Colin Solon he worked for me a long time ago, and I brought him back in this summer. He's been doing a lot of work on posting news and doing a few other things for me. And what we've decided is he's going to help take over some of the market reports and the auction preview things that I've been, putting a lot of time and effort into over the last year and a half. And in so doing that, it's going to free me up probably 10 or 12 hours of my week so that I can focus more on doing the chats and the scheduling that needs to go into that, and also all the prep work that needs to go into Comic Art Lives, the show. So this was the first week where he and I worked together on those reports and the preview. We're going to do it again next week as well, and along with that Wednesday email that we send out, he's going to, and then after that, I think he'll be on his own. He'll be taking care of all of that, and I might just give direction where I need to. But the great thing will be is that it's going to free up a lot of my time so that I can, be a bit more proactive with the work that we've been doing in these live chats, as well as just focusing on Comic Art Live. There's a lot of things. I got a lot of great feedback already from the surveys that pretty much are done. I haven't closed them yet, but so if anybody hasn't completed a survey from the show, shoot me an email. I can send you a link to it. But I think we're really prepped and have a really good idea for what we're going to do with the next show in either May or June, probably June. So that's what I need. I needed more time to focus on that, and Colin will definitely be helping me with that as well. Now that now that I'm giving him some more hours, we're going to focus in on just all the advanced PR and the things that I need to do to speak with the dealers and other people who have art for sale, that we can make sure we can coordinate these things better and make the show much better. And I'm even working or hoping to be able to be working with an outside programmer that I spoke to help just facilitate some of the changes that we want to do with Comic Art Live to make it better. Things that from the scope of the work that Maureen already has to work on would be things that would be really hard for her to tackle even in the next 5.5 months before that show happens. So we're really trying to branch out, focus on making this the CAF and Comic Art Live a really great event that is better than anything we've done in the past. So I'm looking forward to that. But again, I'm going to call it a night right now. I appreciate it. Coco didn't move a muscle, which is a good sign for me. So everybody, I'll see you next Monday with Mike Berkey, Glenn Brunswick. Will Gabrielle will be interviewing Micah Spivak. That should be a lot of fun. And like I said, on Thursday next week, I'll be talking with Vincent Zerzolo from Comic Connect. He's promised that somehow we're going to have a mobile camera during the interview, and he's going to be showing me around the office because obviously they have a lot of comic art hanging on the walls there. I'm sure he probably will pull out some of the artwork from the auction that ends that following Monday as well. That one SpiderMan cover is pretty cool. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of interesting things during that chat. And yes, stay safe to you, Akra, as well. And hey, Akra, I wanted to tell you that I love that piece you posted on CAF earlier today, that giant size X-Men tribute. I'm not going to show it off here. I've been showing off a lot of your art, but I did see that piece go up a few hours ago, and it's pretty darn awesome. So congratulations on that. All right, everybody. Thanks again, and we will see you next